Good afternoon, everyone. Tractor Man 44 here. I tell you, we do a lot of weird things around here, I guess it's not really weird. It's just that, we kind of live life, every day as it comes. Sometimes we do a little bit of working on tractors, sometimes a car and a truck or something like that. Sometimes we got a little welding project. And sometimes we butcher beef and sometimes we butcher hogs. Well, this weekend we butchered 3 hogs. And we normally we'll render all the back fat and everything along with the leaf lard, and it's a little bit bigger of an operation. But this year I decided I only wanted to render the leaf lard. Leaf lard just being the lard that's on the inside of the rib cage and everything. It's a little more, it makes a little more pure lard, makes a little better cooking lard for pie crusts and biscuits and things of that nature. So we didn't need to do the whole rigmarole. Over at my brother's house, we got the big 36-inch kettle and a 500,000 BTU gas-fired burner. We got a big old shroud and everything, and big old long 6-7 foot long paddle we sit there and stir it with, and we cook them down and everything in that. But this year I just wasn't going to. Just to have a few pounds of leaf lard essentially out of them 3 little pigs. And well, I don't know how much they were, probably around 180, 200 pound little bitty guys. But at any rate, I was going to go ahead and whack up a little bit of lard and get ready to cook it down tomorrow. Maybe make some squeezins out of it, and get some cracklings and show you what some good cracklings look like. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and cut up just a little bit. I guess I should give y'all a disclaimer. As in any of my videos, pay no attention to the junk in the background. It's all good stuff. But at any rate, with leaf lard, we want to make small squares. It'll cook pretty quick. It cooks a lot quicker than your back fat, which is typically thicker. But we like to cut this into maybe 1-inch squares. Give or take a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Make sure you don't cut your finger. But and whenever we cook the leaf lard along with the back fat, we typically get the back fat 75% cooked before we ever add the leaf lard to it. And we typically let the leaf lard go to the last batch of the back fat, simply because it really does cook up pretty fast. And sometimes we just cook it entirely by itself because, like I say, it makes the absolute best, the purest white soap, and it makes the best lard for cooking. Makes real flaky pie crust and things like that. But at any rate, I'm just going to take a few minutes here and cut some of this up. If I get lucky, I'll be able to speed up the video so y'all don't get bored watching me make an attempt to slice my fingers off. But anyway, if you cut it that way and then turn around and cut it this way right here, you're going to end up with some pretty quick cooking chunks of leaf lard. Again, about an inch. It don't matter if it's 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 or 3/4 by an inch or a half by a half. It don't matter. It's all going to cook down. It's just the smaller they are, it seems the better they cook. But at any rate, I won't bore you by having you watch me slice all 6 sections of the leaf lard. I'll just go ahead and finish this one up real quick, and then turn the camera off and go ahead and prepare the rest of them. And then tomorrow I'm probably going to call my brother and see if my brother ain't doing anything, if he'd kind of like to come over and kind of help me cook it down, because he is the pro. I mean, I've been around it since I was a little guy, just like him. It's just that he always paid attention and I was always busy goofing off, So at any rate, I'm going to see if I can't get him talked into coming over in the morning and see what we can come up with. So at any rate, first little bit is done. That's approximately 1/6 of the amount we're going to get. At any rate, this Tractor Man 44, man, I am out of here. Good morning, everyone. Tractor Man 44 here. Yesterday, I started the process for rendering lard and told you that I didn't think we were going to do a big deal this year. We didn't want to get that big old 36-inch kettle out and all that stuff, and that big old burner. So yesterday afternoon, I worked on this old turkey fryer and kind of got him adjusted up a little bit where I got a pretty good amount of heat coming out of it. And I'm going to cook that lard down in a stainless steel pot on a much smaller scale. and on this old turkey fryer. Had to take a little time there before I got started to make me a little paddle. This here's a very small version of the same great big one, you know, that we've used for many years, you know, in the you know, back out on the farm and all that stuff, all those years we've been butchering. But at any rate, I had to get this thing set up and dialed in, so I kind of already got started before I started filming. Probably should even filmed making this silly thing. Just took a chunk of oak and went in on a table saw and knocked it out and sanded a little bit. You know, heck, that's all there is to it. But you'll be able to see how quickly this cooks or how slowly it cooks. The big trick is to make sure that whenever you're cooking, or whether it's on a turkey fryer like this, which I've never done before, but on a cast iron kettle or on a pot on your barbecue pit or in the house, you don't want that to set still too awfully long on the bottom, because what it'll do, it'll scorch. If it's scorched, it taints the smell of your lard, and also it'll kind of mess with your color, the color of your lard. So, but at any rate, we're gonna keep on going here for a little bit. It's got a long ways to go. It literally only has 5 minutes of cook time in it. But you can see the first ones I put down the bottom are already changing color. You know, that's these guys over here. They're already changing color. But I don't really want to turn the heat up really high. I've got a lot more heat capacity than what's necessary. Don't really need that much. It just takes a little bit longer. But the main thing is not to scorch it. When there's a temperature that you don't want to go above, and I think that temperature is somewhere around 235 degrees, 240 degrees, something like that. If you get above 240 degrees, you're going to scorch it for sure. I'm doing this inside my shed because the wind's howling pretty good today, and I don't really want to mess with the propane flame burning around and everything. But anyway, you want to make sure your pot don't slide out. I took these old beam clamps here for hanging ductwork and stuff, you know, on bar joists inside commercial buildings, and set them on there, 3 of them around the perimeter there to keep this thing from sliding off. And I just set up a little high pressure regulator on a standard LP tank, and that's what's going to give us the added heat instead of being on a little bitty old 7,000 BTU burner on a barbecue pit or on your kitchen range, which might have a 10 or 12,000 BTU burner. I can crank this guy up here literally to 250,000 BTUs just with one orifice and that one needle valve on the outlet of the regulator. But anyway, we'll stop stirring every now and then, and we'll take this this temperature indicator, and we'll drop this indicator in there to make sure that our temperature is not elevating too much. I've done a couple other things that's a little bit different. Normally we've got a whole setup of big vats and tanks and all that stuff, you know, to keep everything cool. You don't want to put the hot lard into a plastic container or a glass container without the ability to cool it down, because, you know, you could do some damage melting wise or whatever. But on this smaller scale, I just come up with something a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to be approved by my older brother or not. But again, this is a very small scale we're doing this year. We just want enough for a few batches of soap. I still got some left over from last year. But at any rate, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera off because it's gonna be boring and I talk too much anyway. So anyway, it's Tractor Man 44. For now, I am out of here. As you can see, it's looking pretty good. I had to cut the heat back a little bit because it started getting up there, about 240, about 245 degrees. And so I really had to cut the heat down. It's getting really close to being done. Now the darker spots that you see inside there, the darker ones, that's some of that bloody stuff that was around the outside. Little bits of meat, you know, like that. But for the most part, his leaf lard is really pretty clear. That's just a little bit of meat there, and that's just a little bit of blood. You know, it ain't no big deal. You know, heck, you eat a lot of blood whenever you eat a rare steak, so what's a little bit of pig blood? As long as it's above 160 degrees, it ain't gonna kill you. But at any rate, it's getting really close to pulling off, and that's gonna be a little trick. We're gonna have to do this a little bit different. On the old kettle over at the brother's house, we use a couple of mule shoes, and we just kind of stick the mule shoes in the ears on the kettle and pick it up and walk off with a pair of leather gloves. And we got a regular technique for scooping this out, you know, and putting them through a strainer. But I'm going to do that a little bit different. I'm going to try to set the camera over there to where you can see me move it over there and get it set up. I do not know how well this is going to work. This is the first time I tried doing it like this, but no matter. It's like I said, a very small quantity. So within the next few minutes, I'm going to be taking that off, and we're gonna watch that. So I'm out of here for right now. A vital step I forgot to include. Whenever you're cooking this down right towards the tail end, I'm probably just a little bit late right now, but this is baking powder. If you put a little bit of baking powder in there, it's going to make sure that this lard cooks out just white and just as nice and sweet as can be. It's really kind of important. Well, I guess it ain't important, you know, but it is if you want really clear looking white lard. But at any rate, I had to run up the house real quick, so I had to shut the burner off because you cannot leave this unattended for any length of time at all. But I got to fire the burner back up here real quick, and then we'll go about the business of moving this over here and taking it off. But it's just about done cooking.